Portugal, bem-vindos a mais um dia do World Jump Rope Championships aqui em Braga. Obrigada por estarem a ver, espero que continuem a assistir durante o dia, espero que gostem. O dia de hoje vai ser só sobre freestyle, individual, de equipas, por isso vai ser muito bom. Good morning people, today is all about freestyle. I'm Joanna from Portugal and I'm so excited about today. I hope you enjoy being with us, and I hope you still until the end of the day.
All right, good morning and welcome to day number 3 of the 2016 World Jump Rope Championships. Today is my favorite day. We have all of the single rope freestyles. We are starting off with single rope freestyle from an individual perspective, and we'll be moving on to the pairs routines, wheel routines, team freestyle routines, and then finally at the end of the day we will have both the junior and the senior team show, which is a spectacle to see. You don't want to miss it. In addition, we are going to have some phenomenal interviews from home. We're going to Skype some prolific members of the jump rope community, including, not to mention, we have the Kaylee Kuvians of the world, Vivian Vida, Adrian Banheji, Shane Windsor, and more. So please stay tuned, have fun, and of course, please send out the link on the World Jump Rope website to anyone at home who is not watching so that they can tune in as well. Have a great day, and we will bring you all of the action. All right, and we are on, and we're starting with heat number 1 of the single rope freestyles. We will have 4 different athletes competing at the same time. They're not necessarily competing against each other, but each athlete in each of these stations is in their own respective age grouping category. We will be having music along with the single rope freestyles later this week on the 24th of July, when it's the finals and the grand championships. The top 12 freestyle routines of male and top 12 freestyle routines of female will be competing at the grand championships on Sunday, July 24th.
So for those of you who are watching jump rope for either the first time or among the first times, there are many things that you're looking for when you are watching a single freestyle routine. Many of those things we went over in past days talking about other events. They're kind of the baseline things in freestyle that you're looking for. One of those things being making sure that you're covering the space. You'll notice that the jumpers that use the floor best use all the space that they're given, really score the highest. We'll go through some of the other things as we see them. So the jumper we have on right now, well, I can say for both jumpers we have right now, we have female jumpers, and I would invite you to look at what you see in female jumpers and in male jumpers and find some of the similarities and differences. This is something that's kind of constantly changing in the sport of jump rope. There was once a time where, amazing acrobatic skills like the ones we just saw were really only done by males, and females had a cleaner and I would say prettier, more delicate, not quite as physically taxing style. But I think you'll be impressed to see a lot of the female jumpers today are really going for skills that at one time would have been deemed pretty strictly male skills.
Absolutely, and big shout out to Tori Boggs as one of the first jumpers to really push the limits on what's possible from a power perspective in the female side of single rope freestyle.
And I would even go further than Tori Boggs, go beyond Tori Boggs, and give the shout out to Kelsey Moe, who's in the stands right now. She's the current coach of the Summer Wind Skippers, who we've seen a lot of great things from so far this competition. We're hoping to have her here later today to speak to us. She is, I can pretty wholeheartedly say, one of the people that made a difference for me as a female jumper, really showed me what was possible. And to add to that, Brianna Smith-Overman from the Bouncing Bulldogs really demonstrated a new way of doing power and grace all at once, and kind of paved the way for these jumpers today who are doing really powerful skills.
All right, we are on to heat number 3 from the Burning Ropes, Florentine, from the Jumping Yawns, Lucas, from Bayside Skippers, Emily, and from the Kerry Super Skippers, Zach.
So Zach is a jumper who he's all the way on the right. We can't see him right now, but I'm sure the camera will get to him at some point. He's on the Kerry Super Skippers, and he's someone with a lot of really dazzling skills. From a jumper like Zach, what a jumper like me looks for is precision and seeing him hit a lot of those skills. As we've talked about time and time again, in jump rope you take a risk when you go out and you do really difficult skills, and it's the people who really balance that risk perfectly with a lot of practice and really being confident in those skills that have the highest payoff. So Zach's routine will definitely be one to watch from a skills standpoint. I would like to see how he does in terms of accuracy.
right there on the floor. For those of you who may have missed it, he actually did a quadruple under with multiple different combinations. He's doing multiple different types of quadruple unders here. It's always nice to see, though, when people are doing multiple under sequences, to do them right in a row, which shows a really strong power ability and endurance ability in the athlete.
Exactly. One of the things Sarah's kind of touching on there that's really important to the judges is how constantly you're doing tricks. Are you taking bounces in between? For example, a really impressive crossed under the leg triple under or quadruple under is a certain level of difficulty. If you take 2 jumps and then do another one, that level of difficulty greatly decreases versus doing 2 in a row. Jumpers are really rewarded for not taking pauses or taking breaks in their routines, and it's definitely very valued to be able to kind of move constantly through a routine. I think one of the exciting differences between today and some of the routines we saw with the younger jumpers is some of the jumpers you'll see today actually will go through an entire routine without taking a jump. They'll just move all the way through, and it's really wonderful, really incredibly powerful to see.
Yeah, and we say when taking a jump, it's a single bounce as you would do when you were first starting the sport of jump rope.
Thank you, Sarah.
Typically you're really only getting points for those skills where you're actually jumping the rope, typically, unless you're specifically doing a wrap or release skill. So when we say jump, it just refers to that single bounce when the rope is going under one time in a very simple fashion. And just a shout out to Zach Tomlinson in that last heat. He's done something that I have never seen before. At the very end of his routine, he had the handles of the rope kind of come towards the center, and then he was holding onto the rope itself at the end. That was very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Zach had a lot of really interesting, crazy tricks, the kind of things that we expected, but I'm afraid that his mistakes will definitely keep him out of the top 10 in any way. And that's, listen, there are so many jumpers that push this sport that take those risks, and there's a lot to admire in that.
Absolutely, and it comes down to what you value. I know, talking to Lee Reisig previously, he really, performs for the audience, and the judges are almost a sidebar for him. And so, if he does make some mistakes, he obviously wants to be 100% clean, especially because he's into Cirque these days. But in the past, his main objective was to try and push the limits on what's possible in terms of skill development. And he values that, whereas some other teams, really value the ability to go completely clean in a routine, and that will be their focus.
Just to fill those of you who are new to the sport, new to the live stream, and Sarah's talking about a jumper named Lee Reisig. He jumped for many years for first the Montana Super Skippers and then Summer Wind Skippers, and he is one of those pioneers in the sport who really took on jump rope as his life and showed many of us what it means to have a passion for something and really dedicate yourself to that passion. Additionally, when Sarah's talking about Cirque, what she's saying, for many of you who have heard of this before, Cirque du Soleil is an incredibly impressive, kind of revolutionary type of circus that jump ropers have had the fortune to take part of for the past few years, and so they really got that performance element down.
Here in heat number 4 from the Calgary Jump Crew, we have Desiree from the Moz Tigers, Idelson from Cleveland Air Magic, Lily Barker, and from the Bouncing Bulldogs, Kenneth Cato. Moz Tigers being from Mozambique, and we spoke to Martin Godeme a couple of days ago, and he is responsible for helping bring jump rope to that part of the world. So there's a real connection there with people around the world watching from home and the folks that are on the floor today, and the different generations of jump rope as well.
Speaking of generations, it's really cool to look on the floor today, and maybe this is my nostalgia as an American and having grown up competing against these teams, but you look across the floor and you see 4 different jumpers from 4 very different legendary jump rope teams with a great legacy. You have the Cary Super Skippers, you have Hot Dog USA, the Comet Skippers, and Summer Wind Skippers, and it really is a treat to get all of these teams and watch the next generation of all of these teams kind of come up in the same place and compete against one another. It's really beginning to dawn into a new golden age of jump rope.
All right, heat number 5 from the Kerry Super Skippers, Cameron Dean, Hot Dog USA, Ben, Common Skippers, Olivia, and Summer Wind Skippers, Danny.
So the skills you're seeing right now are really impressive skills. I really never like to use the words for a girl because I really do believe above anyone that females are capable of absolutely anything they want to put their minds to. But in the sport of jump rope, as I was talking about before, and you'll hear this kind of bias from here on, I have a real value and a real admiration for girls who are willing to take on the big power skills. So this Kerry Super Skippers jumper was had a really powerful opening combination.
Yesterday we were talking about single rope releases and the difference in how you do it with a long-handled versus a short-handled rope. And I think Olivia just did a nice example of how you can do a rope release with a short-handled beaded rope. And when you do it with a long-handled rope, sometimes it looks a little bit differently. So when you're watching that athlete, throw one of their handles away from their body and then it spins in the air. The way that someone does it with a long-handled licorice rope may look a little bit different, so keep your eye out for that today. All right, heat number 5, we have from Kerry Super Skippers, Cameron, Hot Dog USA. Oh, my apologies, we're moving on to heat number 6. We have from the Comet Skippers, Taylor, Team France, Theo, Hong Kong, Wing Yi So, and from Summer Wind, Michael Underwood.
So I can tell you in this heat, Taylor, who's all the way on the left, she's actually originally a jumper with Avon Aerial Orioles, and she's competing with Comet Skippers for this round. Taylor's an incredible jumper, a really overall athletic competitor, and she's actually I believe, state and maybe more cross-country and track champion. So you can definitely see her athleticism when she's jumping.
Absolutely, and I think her plan is to attend university and be on their cross-country team. She absolutely excels in that as well.
She's awesome. It's always cool to see jumpers who are able to contain multiple passions at once. There are a lot that do it well, and Taylor's just another wonderful example of really pouring your heart and your time into your passions.
And oftentimes, having those multiple different passions, they complement each other. And so if you're better at one, then you're better at the other as well.
Absolutely, and I would say running is definitely one of those things. It's a fairly common connect between jump rope and another sport, just because of that stamina and the kind of flat endurance that it takes.
We are going to eat number 7. In the station number 1, from Bouncing Bulldogs, we have Lily Merrigan, okay. In station number 2, we have from Jump Rope Federation of India, Ayush Atul Mankar. Station number 3, from Hot Dog USA, Hailey Doca. And station number 4, from the Portuguese Association of Rope Skipping, João Vieira.
We're seeing some huge tricks from Lily Merrigan from the Bouncing Bulldogs here. And a huge smile at that, which is great to see. It's so nice when you see those athletes reach that point and they're not just struggling through the routine. You know, they're really there to perform and they feel completely comfortable with what they've brought to the competition, and you know that they've practiced it and now they're doing it with ease.
I can tell you there's something we like to talk about in jump rope that's called muscle memory, where you've practiced a routine so many times it doesn't really matter what happens when you get on the floor. I have countless memories of absolutely just blanking out, not remembering a single thing that was supposed to be happening, but my body just kind of taking over anyways because I've done the routine so many times. And I think that comes into play a lot, especially when you're in the moment of focusing on so many things at once, doing the routine, you know, maintaining that presentation, which is so important. And as Sarah was saying, Lily does it so well. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Lily since she was 6 years old, and she's had that kind of a smile on her face from day one when it comes to jump rope especially. And there's a lot to focus on when you're out there, so it's wonderful to see those jumpers who have practiced, and it kind of shows in the way they're able to totally take over in any moment, have their body take over in any moment.
Absolutely. I'm gonna kind of I guess shift the focus though from muscles to brain, because the brain is the thing that actually controls the muscles. So muscle memory is actually kind of synonymous with working memory. And the ability to, like, it's a motor learning type of task, and so you know, we always talk about the muscles, but there's something that controls those muscles, and it's your brain. So all of these routines, all of this activity in jump rope is actually incredibly phenomenal for your brain.
It is kind of ironic that we use that term muscle memory when muscles don't actually remember anything.
Absolutely. They remember how to execute excellence from the brain down.
Heat number 8. In station 1 we have from Jump Rope UK, Ellie Allam. Station number 2 from Hot Dog USA, Zach Edges. Station number 3 from Jumping Numbs, Anne-Marie Fernholz. Station number 4 from Portuguese Association of Rope Skipping, David Silva.
Seeing some really nice quadruple unders here on the floor.
And that was a beautiful transition. So this is another thing that judges are looking for when they're watching these routines. You know, how do you transition from one element to the other? I'm going to backtrack a little bit and talk about what the elements mean, what that is. So one of the elements is multiple unders. So anytime there's a double under, triple under, quadruple under with and we can go beyond that, and today we will see things beyond quadruple unders. Just for those of you who are new to the competitive world of jump rope, there is much possible beyond a quadruple under. So all of those are what we would call multiple under sequences. And in order to get full credit from judges in terms of especially hitting those advanced and upper master levels, it's required that you have unique transitions from, let's say, multiples to a different element like power, which we briefly went over yesterday, but is essentially any time the jumper isn't standing up straight. So if they are in a push-up position, if they are in some sort of a flip, if they are on their hands, those would all be some sort of variation of power.
Heat number 9. In station 1 we have from Hot Shots Australia, Jesse. In station number 2 from Bouncing Bulldogs, Adam Weston. Station number 3 from Hungary, Lola. In station number 4 from Club Salto de Montilha, Miguel.
I talked a little bit before about the nostalgia I felt watching, you know, the 4 American teams I knew on the floor at one time and kind of seeing that next generation come forward. But I think another really noteworthy thing to see, you know, for example, on the floor right now is the real diversity we have on the floor, the real variety. And yeah, it comes across in a way a jumper looks, you know, where they come from. But even more so, it'll come across in the style that they jump. Each country, each region of the world has their own unique ways of doing things, and I invite you all to try trying to notice the differences between them all.
We're seeing some huge quadruple unders in a sequence here from the Bouncing Bulldogs. Adam Weston showing us some phenomenal speed scores yesterday.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to see the length of ropes that people use as well. So, for example, we're seeing the Spanish jumper here with a very short rope in comparison to some of the others, where we see Adam Weston with a much longer type rope for his size.
And I think that kind of gets into what we were talking about with the long-handled versus short-handled ropes. Depending on what's important to you and how you specialize, I want to quickly just give Adam a little bit of a shout-out for that split. We were talking on the first day about, who our favorite splits were in jump rope, who had the best split, and my personal vote goes to either Adam Weston or Anna Reeb. Again, they're Bulldogs. I get it. It's my bias, but they have pretty splits.
Yeah, Benny was saying the same thing. So Benny Schmitz from Germany, how people should not be getting the full marks for a split if it's really just a mountain climber, when the knees are bent and you're not in that full extension. And if you're really going to get points for it, it should be that really nice one. Maybe get a little bit of, a smaller difficulty score for a mountain climber, and then much larger for the full splits.
As someone who did splits that looked a lot more like mountain climbers than splits for their entire jump rope career, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Sarah. Mm-hmm. This is something that I know we've been working with our team on forever. No offense to the Bulldogs, but get ready to see some splits that look a lot like mountain climbers, because I can take personal credit for that. I think I taught a lot of that. But it is definitely one of those things that as a judge, you really look for full extension of tricks. Are you going to go all the way up into a handstand, or are you going to kind of get a little bit onto your hands? And jumpers are definitely rewarded for doing tricks the way they're designed to be done.
Absolutely. And if you're doing it in a new and unique and even better way, it should look very good and nice and pretty. All right, heat number 10 we have from Skip Stations, Dorian. From Lincoln Leapers, Eli. From the Bouncing Bulldogs, Jordan. And Club Salto de Combo Montilla in Spain, we have Pablo. And it looks like perhaps he had a scratch. Oh, no, sorry, we've got Jordan Watkins. And the Bouncing Bulldogs in station number 3. I was going to say that looks a lot like Whitney, but I'm assuming that they are sisters.
They are sisters. Quite a sister duo of really strong and beautiful jump rope style.
They could almost be twins.
They really could. And that was actually a really cool ending. I can definitely say the Skip Stations are a team I definitely associate with a certain level of cleanliness in their routines. Very pretty form, and definitely very polished. And that's definitely something that gets very heavily rewarded by judges.
Absolutely. Shout out to Eli Bull in that last heat. He did a fantastic job, and he's grown so much in the last few years. Canadian jumper from Lincoln, Ontario. All right, this next heat, you must keep your eye on Hamisi Kondo, jumping for Team Tanzania. He has an incredible routine this year, and multiple people have told me, make sure you watch very carefully, because you're going to see something you have never seen before. So keep your eyes peeled.
In jump rope, we have this saying of you won't believe it until you see it. Mm-hmm. And I think as a jumper, Hamisi really characterizes that. He not only has a really, really amazing and fantastic story, but his skills are, I would say, in the sport, without a doubt in my mind, unparalleled. There is nobody who can do the tricks that he's doing.
Yeah. That was a triple under going backwards with a TJ into a high frog. Again,
can we also
easier to see it than to explain it.
Can we also like really quickly talk about his leg muscles? Did you just see that?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
Wow. For those of you who like can't really decipher what that was, and I don't blame you, that there's so much amazing stuff going on. It's a little hard to understand. He just did a round off, which is like kind of like a cartwheel, into a backflip where he spun in a circle 1.5 times and went into another round off into another backflip where he spun again a full circle.
The other cool thing is that, there's a certain amount of jump rope vocabulary that we all kind of have from the past on what things used to look like and we thought could look like. And he's doing things that actually aren't even in my jump rope vocabulary because I don't even know what to call it. Not only that, but I don't think I would even be able to try to figure it out unless I watched multiple videos to do several replays to see what actually happened there.
Sarah makes a great point. Very much, I would say, in life, what constructs the reality we see in front of us is our language. And in jump rope, it's really cool to watch the jumpers add their language to the skills to create it as a part of creating them, really. I wanted to give Hamisi a shout out, not only for his skills. We've seen him over the years perform skills as incredible as the ones he performed, not to put them down in any way because he's literally the only person who can do them. But in the routine I saw a much more mature jumper than I've seen in years past. There have been years where Hamisi has come out and done some incredible tricks and that he was absolutely ready to do, but as we were talking about before, I wouldn't say ready to perform. And people have said, how could he not win the Grand National Championship? The Grand World Championship. He has the best skills, but I think we were waiting on a little bit of jumping maturity from him, and we really saw that today. Really taking things slowly, taking each trick as each trick, and putting out there something that he was very confident he could do. He honestly looks kind of like a whole new jumper to me, and I just wanted to give him a shout out for that.
And that's the difference between, just coming out there and trying to persist through your routine versus performing your routine.
That's a great way of saying that, Sarah. You'll see a lot of jumpers today who will just persist through a routine, which can be a combination of many things. I mean, it can combination of really putting skills in your routine that are just too difficult to be performing, or just not practicing them enough. I mean, I think if you set a goal for yourself at the beginning of the year, I actually, a couple years ago at World Jump Rope, one of the jump rope greats, Robbie Santos, put on a little workshop about how to construct a routine, and part of his whole thing was don't limit yourself at the beginning of the year. Really start too hard for you, and then spend time working on those skills all year so that by the time competition comes around, they aren't too hard for you. And that's not a mentality I took on for myself ever, because I actually wasn't competing at that time. But I really like that way of looking at creating routines, that just because something is too hard for you at the beginning of the year doesn't mean you should rule it out for the whole year. You should just practice it really hard.
And big shout out to Carter Broom, who's on the floor right now in station number 4. Wow, he's got some amazing skills, but his sequences are smooth.
They really are. And as I was saying about the skip stations, I would also say about the carry super skippers, generally like really, really nice form, incredibly hard skills, and that's something we saw from Zach a little earlier, really difficult skills. But what I liked about Carter's routine is he definitely had a good balance of this is doable for me and this is really impressive to watch. And I give him a lot of kudos for being able to accomplish that all at one time, because it's not easy to do.
Yeah, and adding a lot of reps and releases in with power skills and multiple unders is really impressive.
And personally, the way that I think reps should be done.
You mean as opposed to standalones?
Absolutely. So just like in fashion or social media memes or really anything like that, there are trends in jump rope. And one of the current trends is wraps. And we mean that just about as literally as it sounds. Wrapping the rope in really intricate ways around your body. There's definitely a group, or I wouldn't say a group, but there's definitely an old school mentality that has a hard time understanding the wrap movement. And I don't mean like hip hop rap. I mean jump rope rap.
Like wrapping paper.
Like wrapping paper or like a tortilla wrap, you know. Just because there is an ability with raps to forget that the mission here is to jump, and that can get lost in a rap. But as we were saying about Carter, he did a good job mixing those raps with actual jumping, and that's the way they should be done.
For anyone who's musically inclined out there, who's also a jumper, maybe you can do a rap.
I want to call you out on a pun, but I really like your idea, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to let that stand as is. Right now, we have a really impressive routine, especially skill-wise, from Ridge Robson from the Comet Skippers, who's on the screen right now. Ridge started jumping when he was really young. I'll never forget the first time I taught him. One of those just jump rope obsessed kids who no skill was enough, always needed to know more, always needed to know the next thing. And it's been really wonderful to watch him grow into the jumper he is and carry that kind of zest for jump rope with him along the way.
Absolutely. Also, shout out to Elijah from the Bouncing Bulldogs. Wow. Also, super smooth quad sequences. I remember, 10, 15 years ago, you would see lots of quads and routines, but again, they were persisted. They weren't performed with ease necessarily, and so it's so nice to see so many jumpers being able to do this so well.
To give those of you who are new to jump rope a little bit of perspective on what a quadruple under means within the grander scheme of single freestyle, I would say that a triple under sequence of about 5 tricks would be a level 4, level 3, a 5. There are 5 levels. So it's impressive. When it's done cleanly, it honestly normally beats out a lot of level 4s and 5s because so often these quad sequences come with a lot of mistakes. But what Sarah's saying is that a few years ago, even, triple unders were the norm of competitive 15 and above jumpers. You'd see long sequences of triple unders, and I can even say from my days of like really competitive jump rope, I didn't do more than 3 or 4 quads at the end of a sequence. These days, these people are really throwing out impressive quadruple unders, and someone we've kind of been talking about throughout the broadcast, who really kind of blew the lid off of what is possible in terms of triple unders, quadruple unders, multiple unders, is Kenzie Rustin from the Bouncing Bulldogs, who actually passed away this year. This is another place where I really feel like her absence is felt in this single rope freestyle event. She was the Grand World Champion a few years ago, and she was able to do quads and 5 times under tricks that guys like Nick Woodard and LJ LaVecchia couldn't even touch. So it's I don't really have enough words to describe her absence in this event and in jump rope, in addition to her absence as a leader and as a human.
Shout out to Dylan Plummer, who's on the floor right now. He has been one of the jumpers in the sport who has really tried to push the limits. One of the greats on social media and YouTube, trying to post videos and really inspire lots of other jumpers around him and around the world to try new things and push their own limits.
I had the pleasure of going on a trip with Dylan, and I can tell you that he is one of my favorite jumpers to watch. Really, just as you were saying, pushing the limits, but never really accepting that something is how it is. Always questioning what more you could do with it. And again, another one of those jumpers. It's been really fun to watch him grow up and watch him mature into the jumper he is, because he's a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely. Do you know what would be so cool?
What?
Well, I've often thought that jumpers have exceptional creativity, like not just on the floor but in general, and perhaps it comes from having to be so creative on the floor, extends into the rest of your life as well. I would love to see a head-to-head comparison on creativity levels of jump rope athletes versus other types of athletes. That would be so cool.
I honestly, I feel so lucky. I know this one jumper who has really invested in doing jump rope studies, and I think I know her. I believe her name is Sarah Dabrowski, and I think I could see her doing some sort of study like that.
That would be so cool.
We are on 8:15. We have from Comet Skippers, Singji, from Jump Rope Federation of India, Lakshit, And from Cleaver Air Magic, Alicia, Hong Kong team, Kwan.
The Hong Kong team has been so fun to watch in this competition. I would say they're definitely the fastest growing jump rope team, jump rope country that we have right now. I can tell you that I'm embarrassed to admit how much I go on YouTube and type in jump rope, but I'll out myself because I know how many of you out there are exactly the same way. They're constantly putting up new stuff, and their excitement for jump rope is very real. You can really see it in how they jump, but also how they broadcast themselves, and it's so exciting to see a country grow at such a big rate, but also kind of build that excitement for the world around them.
So these athletes are jumping between 45 seconds and 75 seconds. The routine must be at least 45 seconds. If it's not quite as long, then they're going to lose points on a time violation. Furthermore, if they go beyond 75 seconds, you will also receive a time violation as well. So if you don't do your final pose within that 75-second period, then you will be deducted points.
We are on 8:16 from TSG Greatest. We have Merle. From Comet Skippers we have Logan. From Hungary we have Gara, and from Comet Skippers we have Sarah.
That was a beautiful rope release.
Yeah.
So rope releases are when a jumper, kind of like one we just saw, they come in many shapes and forms, but it's essentially when a jumper releases either one handle or both handles and then catches it again at some point. And in the way that wraps are the jump rope trend this year, rope releases became a trend. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I'd say maybe 4 or 5 years ago after Mr. Mike Fry, I kind of want to call him Mr. Jump Rope just because I think he deserves that title, came up with the first kind of unconventional rope release that was kind of outside of a very basic standard throw the rope back, throw it up, and catch it again. This trick is called a mick, and it's essentially where you throw up one handle, spin it around a few times, and then catch it again. And we've seen that in variation after variation after variation throughout the day. On the whole, rope releases can be incredibly risky. If you miss a rope release, it's not the kind of miss you can very often, pretend didn't happen. I can tell you, I've had times where I in routines have missed a rope release, and then the rope kind of ends up on the ground, and you have to spin around for a while and try and catch it. But I will say, as a personal lover of rope releases, and I feel lucky to have caught the end of that trend, that there is nothing more satisfying in the middle of a routine throwing and catching a really cool rope release, and I really stand by the jumpers that are willing to take those kind of risks.
From Heat 17, we have from TV Hunter Boykin, Laura, from Skip Station Sam, from Hong Kong team Knock, and from Soar Rope Skipping team Megan.
That was very cool from Megan.
Yeah.
She was holding the rope in one hand, swung it kind of up in the air over her head, and then was able to bring it under her leg grab the other handle so that, she had one handle in each hand and then pull it under all at one time. Very impressive skill.
Megan is a very dedicated jumper from Canada and has been working very hard over the last few years to really push the limits on her skills. And we did see her in the Grand Championships several times for single rope freestyle, bringing a lot of creativity to the floor.
Sam Orenstein from the Skip Stations is not only a really talented jumper, but a really talented person. And he's definitely one of those people that kind of embodies hard work, and it's been, again, fun to see him grow over the years. He had a few mistakes in his routine today, but his skills always still look beautiful, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in more events later on.
We are now in Heat 18. In the station number 1 we have a Scratch. In station number 2 we have from Team Termix Adam, from Otok USA Eliana, and from Proform Airborne, Paige.
Proform Airborne has been a really fun team to watch this competition. Always have had impressive jumpers. This year especially, I couldn't help it. Maybe it's because I'm sitting up at the top of the stands and really getting to see everyone. I couldn't help but notice the kind of really out of the box skills that they've been putting out there, and it's been really impressive to watch. I'm excited to see this routine right here. For those of you who tuned in within the last 30 minutes, welcome to the World Jump Rope Championships. We are on the single senior freestyle day, and so far it's been a really exciting day. We're looking forward to all the routines to come. For those of you who are new to the sport of jump rope, this is something we've addressed in past days, but I think it's worth going over again. A really common question is, how much do these mistakes matter? We see a lot of jumpers going for skills and either getting the rope stuck somewhere or making some sort of mistake, and how much does that really impact them? What there is to get is that it really is dependent on the competition. In a competition where there are a lot of jumpers making a lot of mistakes, a mistake matters less. And I personally think this is somewhere the sport has a lot of room to grow. Right now, there are just too many mistakes in competitive jump rope, and it's in the best interest of the whole sport to really clean things up, just in terms of wanting to be able to spread it in the way we want to spread it.
Absolutely. Even, when you watch America's Got Talent or Portuguese Got Talent or any of these shows where we're being looked at from a professional standpoint and a presentation standpoint, it's really those misses that really hurt the performances, and the judges are very critical when mistakes happen. Obviously, they understand the difficulties of not making mistakes, because it's incredibly difficult to put together a clean routine because of the nature of what we do. That being said, it's our job to step up to prevent making those mistakes in our performances.
I want to really quickly just turn to the floor. We were just watching Mr. Graham Booth from Kerry Super Skippers. I would say in pretty much every event, I would put Graham as someone that really is worth watching. He's such a highly skilled jumper. in really all aspects. He's a multiple world and national champion, has a lot of accolades to his name, but he definitely breeds a certain level of consistency that a lot of, especially male jumpers who do the kind of skills that he does, really can't claim.
He's a very smooth jumper as well, and many others on his team are the same way. We saw, Mr. Broom earlier, and he jumps in a very similar fashion, probably because each of these athletes mentor each other and pass on their styles. Just like, people often say you're basically the combination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. A lot of these jumpers are the jumper that they spend of the same. Sorry, they are the type of jumper of. They're a combination of the 5 most common jumpers they spend time with.
You got him, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks. That took a little while to get out.
Glad you got it out.
So you will see very similar types of styles in each team, within each nation even. So the Bulldogs, for example, have a very different style than the Super Skippers, which will have a different style than the Summer Wind Skippers and so on. And then that being said, America or United States as a whole has a different type of style than Hungary, for example.
Oh, absolutely. I also, really quickly before we get to the next heat, want to give Graham a shout out just because I really see him as someone who jumps like a much older jumper. He's actually about to be a freshman in college, and as Sarah has reminded me, I'm going to explain what that means. He is about to enter his first year of university. Am I speaking the international language
yes,
now?
You
Thank
are.
you. So he's about to enter his first year of university. He's only 18 years old, and he jumps with the ease of very few in the sport. Nonetheless, for 18-year-olds, I really do think, especially with males, 18 is still an age where you're kind of testing out how much power you have, and you're kind of jumping a little over the top, doing things that you can't normally do, and he really has a lot of control for an 18-year-old. This is Julia Hartman from Hot Dog USA. She's had a lot of really impressive performances over the years. Definitely a jumper who has a lot of definitely charisma when she jumps. You can kind of see a little bit of her personality shining through in her routines. And she actually for many years got to jump with her older sister, which you kind of always love to see. Love to see sibling pairs jumping together, and they actually compete really well together. Have really similar styles. That was a really cool skill.
We are on Heat 21. We have from Jump Rope Club, Lennox, Adele, from Comet Skippers, Drew, from Comet Skippers again, Ali, and from Sports Ensemble, Schmin, Louisa.
So big shout out to Ali Astles from. She says that her sister's watching from back home in Texas and wishes you all the best.
And Ali Astros has an actual sister who was a longtime jumper, Brittany. But it is wonderful to see how what we consider to be this jump rope family really extending to the parts of the world who couldn't make it here today. So another element of single freestyle that we have not talked about today is rope manipulation. What I mean when I say rope manipulation is anytime a jumper is jumping and their arms are not simply open and by their sides. So that could be anything as simple as a crisscross where your arms are crossed across your body, to a release where obviously if a handle is not in your hand, you can't have both arms by your sides with a rope in it. And a lot of the really intricate looking crosses and such that you'll see, I'll try and call them out when I see them, are a part of this rope manipulation. And I like rope manipulation personally for how much creativity it allows, but also because I think it really gives a place for those non-gymnastic competitors a place to really shine. You know, it doesn't take any necessarily athletic ability beyond really, I guess, coordination to do rope manipulation and to do it well. And that's not said to try and belittle it. It's really difficult and really impressive, and it definitely takes a certain kind of specialist to be able to do it. We have our Portuguese champion on the floor right now.
Yeah, Paulo, it's a jumper that since I'm with him since he begins to jump, and he has been such an amazing jumper. He has grown a lot in the last few years. He only jumped for 4 years, so I'm excited to see him today. It's only the second international competition for him, so.
And he definitely jumps with like a jumper who has a lot more experience than that. It's been really incredible to watch. I would say actually the entire Portuguese team. I know Joanna's been telling us so many of them will come out and she'll say, oh, they've only jumped a year, or they've only jumped 2 years. And as someone who jumped 17 years just to get to where I am, it's pretty hard to imagine to be able to have this kind of success at such a short time in their career. It's really impressive.
Absolutely. One thing that's very interesting about the Portuguese uniforms as well, you'll notice that their names are actually on the back. So very cool. Very cool.
Thank you.
Who we have on the screen right now, we have Isabella Osborne. She's actually the senior captain of the Bouncing Bulldogs. So in addition to practicing all her routines and being able to pull off the skills she's pulling off, she also kind of runs an army of 100 kids at all times. And so real shout out to her for doing all that she does and still being able to be such an impressive and graceful jumper. I wanted to really quickly urge any of you who have any questions at all to either tweet at us or find us on Facebook, direct message us. We're really here to serve you today, to make this competition accessible to you, make it something that not only you understand but you enjoy. And just a reminder that no question is a dumb question. If you want to ask us what jump rope is, my explanation might not be as good as what's on the screen, but I am happy to explain that to you. And we really just want to make sure that we open this up to as many new people as possible.
Absolutely, because really, this is not a platform for us to share all of our ideas. Really, it's a platform for us to be able to share your ideas and the best ideas in the jump rope world. So we can only share those if we know of them. So please take this opportunity to take a quick time out, send us a message, and let us know, what you're doing in your corner of the world, and what you think can really help move us forward.
We are on E23 from TGE Gradish. We have Alina from Outtalk USA. We have Ben from Bouncing Bulldogs. We have Anna, and from Bouncers UK we have Tiffany.
Just to give you a sense of how close knit this jump rope community is, Sarah was talking a little before about the various jumpers across the world who have gotten to stay at her coach. Coach Lucas, who's been a giant really in the sport of coaching, especially. Jump rope, we have a tradition of homestays, of really taking each other into our homes whenever we travel, and I have been to the houses of 2 of the jumpers on the floor right now. I stayed with Tiffany Branscombe when I went to England maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And just to kind of share with you all the kind of magic that goes on in jump rope, that we take each other on as family, and you can go years without seeing each other and still have that kind of connection. By the way, Tiff has become a really impressive jumper in speed, but also in freestyle. Very committed. her routine today has had a few mistakes, and I would imagine that it won't be her favorite performance of hers, but her skills are still beautiful. She has beautiful style, and there's a lot more of the day left. So.
We are on Eat 24. From the Bouncing Bulldogs, we have Whitney. From Team France, we have Ryan. From Bouncing Bulldogs again, we have Rachel. And from Zakeda Circles, we have Caitlin.
Just a big shout out to Caitlin Simpson right now. She's been doing some very interesting things in Canada. She started a university team at her University of Lakehead in Northern Ontario, and she graduated this year, so she'll still be coaching, but she is not going to be jumping with them any longer, which is why she's jumping for the Cicada Circus. And she's been doing a lot of cirque performances with them as well, which is very, very cool, trying to take the sport and then also turn it into an art. And she's a success story because she only really started jumping in her mid-teens, and a lot of these jumpers we see today I started much earlier, at ages of 7, 8, and 9. And so it took a lot of courage from her to be able to step up and say, yeah, this is something that I want to be very successful in, and she's put the time and effort in, and it has definitely paid off.
This is Whitney Watkins. We watched her little sister Jordan jump a few heats ago, but it is really cool to see amongst family members how similar the styles are.
We are on in Eat 25. We have from Bouncing Bulldogs, Brooke. From Portuguese Association of Rope Skipping, Fernando. From Proform Airborne, Bailey. And from Gymnastics, Gazendorf, Anna.
Whoa. It was off screen, but we actually just saw Fernando do a backwards AS triple cross into a split. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I know him since he was 10 years old. I was one of his first coaches, and I'm so proud of him because he was those kids. When you look at him jumping, you could actually see that he has a great talent for jump rope, and he is doing great. We are on EAT 26. From skip stations we have Sydney, from Comet Skippers we have Dan, from TSG Gredesh we have Sophie, and from TV Goringen we have Anika.
Talking about watching how much these jumpers have grown for us, and I apologize for all the nostalgia. It's just kind of crazy to stand up here and watch. Dave Robinson from the Comet Skippers, I feel like I remember when Dane was like a 3-foot little 6-year-old. And to see the kind of man and jumper he's really become and the kind of power he's taken on for himself is just really, really awesome to watch.
We are on EAT 27. From Jumping Arms we have Victoria, from Cleveland Air Magic we have Cameron, from Skip Stations we have Kara, and from Montana Super Skippers we have Riley.
Typically, the Australian teams are very good at doing displaced crosses. So that means they're crossing behind their legs in multiple different ways. And they're not just doing this with one jump, they're actually doing with triple unders and quadruple unders, which is very impressive. But the trick to doing that is you must do it with very good technique, because otherwise you do have the possibility of hurting your back. So good technique and those skills is paramount. The other thing that they're very good at is doing crosses behind their back, which you just saw there, which is called a TS cross. Again, a lot of these tricks were named after individuals who invented them in the first place about 25 or 30 years ago. And those are very difficult skills to execute, especially with multiple under sequences. So those long handles that you see our athlete Cameron from Cleveland Air Magic using are very important to be able to execute those well with accuracy.
So Sarah was talking about, how what the Australians really specialize in freestyle, and I can't tell just how much I see this because I've been in the sport so long. But to me, the differences between the jumping styles of the different places is so blatant. And I've always had like my countries that I've watched and been like, oh my goodness, I love the way you jump. Like it's just so beautiful to me, and I respect it and wish I had it so much. So for all the jumpers out there, I have a question for you. Which team or country or part of the world do you love to watch most or respect most that is not your own? You know, it's very easy to look at your team and look at the way you do things and say, yeah, well, that's the best way because it's the way you know. And if anyone's guilty of that, I definitely feel that. You know, I have all my opinions about why the bouncing bulldog style is the right style and the best style, but I'm far more interested in hearing about which style you admire most from afar. So I'm going to post that on Twitter and get back to me. I would really like to hear from some of you who